Okay. Yeah, that seems to be working. Oh. Okay, so we are on. So, although I say we're on, last time I did a funny little opening skip for a live vid, and none of you saw it because you were all watching the advert at the beginning, probably for League of Legends or whatever the damn game's called. It's advertised every 2 seconds on every video you watch. We got 23 people in here. Blimey. We have G the Hyper Sapien, Marcos, Navani, TLC, Essex Boys, Slev Sleddan. Blimey. That's a mouthful of a name. Big Mac Dan Skull, Brooks Potts, and Christoph Wenk. Sorry, buddy, I can't pronounce that. Atriel Williams. God, we're getting people with names that are hard to pronounce today. So, oh no, Marcus thought he had some issues with chat. Chat not showing. It wasn't showing for me a second ago, buddy. Let's get my hobby light on. Let's get this. The lighting's all looking a bit weird because I've got both my curtains and windows open. That's it. The camera's focused in nicely as well. So you probably hear the soothing sound of birdsong at the moment, which I'd usually shut out all the outside noise. But I'm not doing that today because I will just sweat and die in front of you. And that might be entertaining for some of you. Some of you might enjoy that, but I won't. So I'll keep the windows open for now. Anywho, who else have we got in the chat? Eric Brown. Hey, buddy. Good afternoon all. Coffee is gone. Time to crack the red wine. Sounds good, buddy. Sounds good. I don't mind a bit of red wine every now and again, actually. I am not a drinker. I used to be. Never like an issue or anything. But I used to drink a lot, sort of socially, partying and stuff like most people do. But I just gone completely off alcohol. One of the few things I will still tolerate is wine. But virtually, even the drinks I used to love, like I used to love Morgan's. I used to like spirits, so things like Morgan Spiced, Southern Comfort, things like that. But even them, I can't really stomach them now. I've never liked beer, not since my very young days of drinking when I knew no better. But yeah, not big on the booze. Sticks is in here. Bill DeGrasse Hawking. It didn't send me my reminder notification. That's a common theme, buddy. Don't worry about it. Bad Moon Bill. He says, hey, Stevo. Hey, Bad Moon Bill. I love your picture, by the way, and the name. It's awesome. You're clearly a man of refined tastes. Dreadwar's in here under a different alias. More books to buy, or are they finally going to give it away free? Yeah. Hold out any hope there, man. Who else have we got in here? Angus Goodleaf, John Fallhubber. Looks like hordes are getting hit by max shots from Oh, that's going fully into the rules, so we'll get into that in a minute. Rivets and Dackers in here. Hey up, Stevo. Hey up, everyone. Zinski in the house. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And G the Hyper Sapien has given the game away. Sorry, Dred, you can't be Clark Kent in this one. He's given the game away. We all know who you are now. Robert Marshall, hey up, Rivets. Knew you would be here. Good old Rivets. So, right, yeah, there's a lot of exciting news today, and it has set the online community mental. Absolutely mental. Wow, we are a funny bunch, aren't we? It's yeah. So we've had the big reveal today. We knew there was a big reveal coming. We've had lots of these big reveals over the lockdown period, and to be fair, most of them have been fairly meh. You know, I guess it depends. If you're collecting a certain faction or playing a certain game, and those bits were covered in those reveals over the last, you know, month or couple of months or so, then I guess it has been exciting for some people, but not all. But this announcement today affects all of us. Well, no, it doesn't affect all of us because some of us play Age of Sigmar and Kill Team and other various things. So specialist games, so it wouldn't have any effects on those people. But anyone playing 40k, this affects all of us. And so, yeah, they've announced 9th edition, basically. There's been rumours, speculation up till now. Hold on, let me try and get this. It's just looking a little bit. There we go. Now, I do apologise. If it happens again, guys, I will fix it. It just tends to blur out a bit. But I know probably most of you aren't even watching me right now. You're either deep into the chat, which has gone mental, or you are hopefully hobbying, getting some painting, getting some building, converting done. I will be doing a bit in a moment. I'll show you what I've been working on. I've been getting distracted, like I am now, off topic. So, yeah, they've been doing... There's been a lot of rumours and speculation about 9th edition for a good while now, for sort of over a year. I remember talking about it on a video of mine a long time ago, where rumours were, you know, speculated about 9th edition. I think I covered it in like talking about sort of an 8.5 edition and stuff, and talking about how they sort of need to condense everything back into one rulebook or update the existing rulebook. But a lot of time has passed and a lot of speculation has happened. And there's been lots of rumours as well about a new box set of Necrons versus Space Marines. Today's trailer has pretty much set that in stone, that is going to happen now, which I think is really cool, by the way. We've had a lot of Imperium versus Chaos. So to see Imperium, it's always going to be Imperium. And that might upset some people, but guys, that's what it's always going to be, that. So it's Imperium versus a Xenos faction. It's not on Orcs, unfortunately, but we've had our turn before. We were there in 5th edition, Black Reach, obviously. So yeah, it's Necron's turn, and Necrons have never been in a proper starter set. We got Forgebane, but in a proper, like, new edition, this is the boxed game starter set, they've never had that. So it's cool to see Necrons getting some love there. And yeah, it's exciting news. And they revealed a lot today, but also have definitely left a lot open for speculation. Yeah, they didn't blow their load and reveal everything, but they've talked about a lot of the... We don't know the new rules and the refinements and the things that they've done, but we know quite a lot. They've talked sort of around about various things and touched on certain points, which I'll come to that. I've scribbled down some notes while I was watching the Twitch feed earlier. Trying to watch the Twitch feed as children and things distracted me, so I kept missing important bits of information. So if I don't have everything written down here, do excuse me, because there was a lot of information and a lot of news to get through. Before we go into it, let's just have a look at what the comment section... Bad Moon says, I'm painting my custom Nasdrag. Bad Moon Bill, are you the one... I can't remember who posted it, but are you the one that posted that picture, I believe it was yesterday, of a converted Ghazghkull into a Nasdrag? Because if that's yours, like, oh, that was beautiful. I loved it. What a cracking job that was done on that. I don't know if that was you or if it was someone else randomly, but it was mint. I can't remember if it's in our group or in another group. I think it was in our group. I'm not 100% on that though, but it was stunning. Nav says Necrons, heck yes. And the Silent King, yep. Can't always be orcs. Need to give the lesser factions a chance. Yeah, fair, well put, well put. Angus says, working on some stunties since got to Crumpum. Nice. Bill DeGrasse talking, I miss smoking indoors. Only up here in this room I do it. They should release a Bad Moons versus Blood Axes box set. Well, me and Scar would buy it. I'm not sure if many others would, but yeah, we'd buy it. I'm so happy that tanks can shoot and oh, everyone's getting ahead. Right, so before I read any more of the comments, because I've got a lot of this, I'm going to yeah, just in no particular order, talk about certain little notes and points that I've made. First one is, yeah, just the reaction from the community. What a mixed reaction, as always. I mean, shit me. I've seen people jumping to wild conclusions on everything. I've seen a lot of talk of, our horde armies are dead. Orcs are screwed. Calm down, calm down. Very little has been revealed so far, and the details of what has been revealed is still yet to be revealed. So listen, you calm down. It's all going to be fine. It'll be okay. All right, it'll be okay. What I'm getting from this, the gist of it, is that this is what I kind of speculated and thought it would be, is that this is basically an 8.5. It is they're changing some rules and tweaking things, but the core game will still very much be 8th edition, which I, for one, really pleased about, because I love 8th. I love 8th. It's one of my favorite editions of the game. One of my favorite editions since 5th edition, potentially even better than 5th. That's high praise indeed, I know, but yeah, I don't know. 5th was really good. All 3rd, 4th, and 5th were great. I loved 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and they're all much the same. And so this 9th edition is going to be very much like what 4th edition was to 3rd edition. It's an improvement and a refinement and a tweak of rules and things and rebalancing of stuff. But all our current codexes will work. They said in the video that they've done it very much with things like the Psychic Awakening, that they've had 9th edition in mind when doing that. So it's not like, and to newer players, this is probably important information to you. For newer players, you don't have to worry. This is not going to be like a new edition like 8th was, where they have to do a new codex and an index for every race. That's not going to be the case. Your codexes will carry over. The data sheets will still work. It's still essentially the same game, but with tweaks and refinements and changes to the rules. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're still going to get new codexes and stuff. That's going to happen. Not necessarily for every faction. There's no guarantee that like orcs will get a new codex for 9th. I remember using my 3rd edition Necron codex. That carried me right through 3rd, 4th, and 5th edition of the games. I never had any other Necron codex. That was it, and it did me fine. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm sure orcs probably will get a new codex in 9th at some point, but they won't be rushing them out like they did with 8th, because they kind of had to with 8th, because it was kind of a race to get all the codexes out for every faction as quick as possible, because it was a brand new, wipe the slate clean, brand new edition. And like it needed it badly, because from 6th and 7th, the game was in a bit of a terrible state. The company itself was. But yeah, for me, 8th has been great. I've had some really fun games of 8th. It got me back into the hobby in a big way, got me back into the game in a big way. I've loved the whole stuff of, I loved stratagems, command points. I loved what that brought into the game. Yeah, some of the rules changes that happened, things like not having deep strike mishaps. I can't even go into all of it now, but basically what I'm saying is I really, really fucking enjoy 8th, and I've loved it. And from what they were saying today about 9th, it sounds quite good, because 8th isn't perfect. I know 8th has its detractors and people who aren't fans of it. And any kind of game that takes a drastic change like 8th did is bound to divide opinion. But I think overall, it's been a huge success. And I think the majority of people really like it. But like I say, there has been some issues. There's certain little things, and there's some things they touched on, which I was quite pleased to hear. One of the things was, which I've noted down here, vehicles. Vehicles sounds like they're getting a tweak and a change. So it talks about tanks being able to shoot in combat, which is brilliant. Because one thing that 8th did that did upset a lot of people, and is kind of treat vehicles like any other unit. They got wounds. They didn't have armor facings and stuff. They suffered the same restrictions and things, and so that did simplify the game to a degree, but also it did take out a lot of what made vehicles special. And so I think that's good that they're addressing that in some form anyway. And I don't know if you've noticed, but on a lot of gaming tables and stuff, vehicles aren't that popular. They do tend to get shot off the table fairly easy and stuff. And so, yeah, I think vehicles, or at least some vehicles, a lot of vehicles, there are standouts, certain vehicles like knights and stuff, and repulsor tanks and things. But yeah, a lot of vehicles kind of underperform. And so I think they've obviously been aware of this, and they're kind of addressing it. And it doesn't stop there with those vehicles, because they talked a lot about aircraft as well, and flyers. So talking about flyers acting like proper flyers and things, and not worrying about things being in the way and stuff. And that sounds really, really cool. And I believe there was talk of them saying about certain things not being able to damage vehicles as well. Like, again, another rule that got a lot of people hot under the collar was, for the example of saying like, oh, a grot can wound Imperial Titan, and saying that it's ludicrous, it's stupid. And that I've personally never found an issue with it, because whenever you tried to do anything like that, it was 9 times out of 10 massively unsuccessful anyway. The only time I've ever really tried to attack a vehicle with a unit or anything that's not suited to attacking a vehicle was if there's no other target in sight and there's nothing else that unit can do. I'm like, I might as well throw some dice and see if I get a couple of 6s and get the stray odd wound here or there. But 9 times out of 10 I would get nothing out of it. So people sort of talked about it like it was the end of tanks, that all the tanks were going to be destroyed by grots, and that wasn't the case. It wasn't really much of an issue, but it looks like they're going to address that one there as well. What we got here? Let's go look in the chat quickly, because the chat's going mental. Carl Reiki says, wrong on that one, Steve. They just said that units won't tag a tank and lock it in combat. Right, okay. I like that grots can wound anything. Okay. Actually, Steve, I once almost killed an Imperial Guard buggy with some grots. Plastic Crack Gaming's in here. Can hear that hype train from here. We're watching from the Discord. Bill DeGrasse Hawking, can't bring half my units to GW stores. Okay, Kyle. So it sounds like there's okay. There wasn't any talk on that. Okay. Like I said, I was listening to it. Thank you to my little snotlings for distracting me while trying to listen. I was scribbling down notes wildly, and lots of distractions. So do excuse me if I get any little tidbits wrong. I'm liking the new logo. The new logo looks cool. The new branding of the new edition. What else did they talk about? Talk about blast weapons. That was another one they talked about. And for a moment there, I thought, does that mean blast templates are coming back? But I don't think it does. They talked about it sort of hitting almost every miniature in a unit. and it sort of sounds like they're going to hit the unit and it's going to hit everything, and then you're going to be rolling to wound. Or so. At least that's what I understood from it. Most of what they talked about, they were fairly vague on. But yeah, and no scar, I haven't yet. Paul Booth says new Marines have assault indicating close combat to improve. Good for our boys. Kariki, what you will get is moments where their gaunts or melee units won't stop your Gorkanaut from firing off all the lasers, then crumping the gits in melee. Yeah. Stick says it looks a little less grimdark, but I like it. Robert Marshall, max hits in hordes. And Terry says the boys are fucked if everyone is hit. Haha. Yeah. I think this is where a lot of people were talking about, oh, horde armies are screwed and stuff. But we do not. The fact is, we don't know enough. We don't know enough yet. But what I've heard so far sounds pretty good. Like I say, I'm a big fan of 8th, and what they've talked about today sounds like it's going to take that concept but improve on it and fix some things and some weaknesses with the rules. And it's like the first set of rules, so this is almost like like we saw with like 3rd to 4th to 5th, they kind of continually refined and improved. In my opinion anyway, I felt 5th was a better edition of the game than 3rd or 4th. And I kind of liked them as they go. It wasn't until it hit 6th that I went, whoop. But 6th and 7th have their fans, can you believe? They really do. But yeah. So yeah, I'm liking what I hear at the moment. I like what I hear. I also like the fact that they spoke about scaling the game up and scaling the game down. And they even said the words combat patrol, which has me very hopeful that there will be like rules for combat patrol within the book. Official rules. I know there's loads of unofficial rules and stuff out there, but official rules. So that'll be cool because I mean I've spoke about it before about how much I love combat patrol. So that'll be very, very cool to have combat patrol back. And please, GW, don't make it as its own separate boxed game. We don't need things like that. It's too many games, too many rule sets to learn. I just want like 40k with some tweaks to the rules to make kill combat patrol. That's fine. Same as how I liked Apocalypse before. It was Apocalypse. It was still 40k, but with some added rules rather than a whole fucking new game to learn. Because I'm not. Yeah, I'm going off topic. What have we got going on in the chat here? Loads of stuff. Julio Dolmus, what did I miss? Not much, buddy. Literally just going over what we've heard today. Rivets and Daka says 5th was a great addition. Yes, it was. I think 5th is... I think if you put the vote out there to the whole community and you had like all 8 editions and everyone voted for which was their favourite, I reckon 5th would storm into the lead, actually. I reckon 5th would be a popular one. I reckon 8th would be popular as well. It'll have its detractors that really despise it. Yeah, I've heard all the negativity there is about 8th. But listen, I can hear all the arguments. They can be put eloquently. They can be well put. But all I can tell you is when I'm playing it, I'm having fun. I'm strategizing. I'm using tactics. I'm trying to outwit my opponent. And I'm having great fun. That's all I can tell you. So it doesn't really matter how well put the arguments are. People can break it down and draw a chart on a wall for me and say, these are the reasons why it's not good. Like, I don't know what you're saying to me. I'm having fun. I'm really enjoying it. So it's all just straight over. It doesn't... I've had a lot of games of 8th edition, lost most of them, but had loads of fun doing it. So I've really enjoyed it. What else did they talk about? They talked about a new app, which sounds a lot like it's going to be Battlescribe, but an official one. Well, let's hope so anyway, because the last time they had some kind of app for 40k, they talked about it being that it wasn't that. It was bollocks. So let's hope they get it right with the app. It looks like they finally might be moving with the times and doing an app. And yeah, that would be good if it is an official army list building app with all the stuff on it and stuff. Again, we don't know whether that's going to be a free app, whether it's going to be a subscription thing, whether it's going to be a one-off payment. We have no idea. But it's good that an app is finally coming, an official app for sure. Please don't be half-assed. Don't half-ass this, GW. You've got the money. So listen, you need to move with the times and get a good app going, because that would be very cool. Bill DeGrasse Hawkins says, the app has me interested. I would like to be able to read the books on the go. Yeah, again, if I mean, there's so much, other than really saying there's an app that's going to help you list build and stuff. They didn't go much into it, but they just said they've got it in mind with 9th. It's going to be launching alongside it. So it all sounds very exciting. Let's just hope that it comes out and it is everything we hope it's going to be. Maybe it'd be what I've been asking for a long time is rules and codexes that update automatically. You know, it's we've talked a lot about how the books come and then they get FAQ'd later on down the line. And I mean, the 8th edition rulebook now, those rules in that book are not the rules we're all playing with now. So that book is almost useless at this point, because almost all the rules in there have been updated and changed since. So if they're going to do that, apps and stuff is the way to go about it, because then we can have things that update. You know, if they change a rule, they don't have to put it in a separate FAQ, so you've got a cross-reference. They can just change the rule, tweak the rules. You press update on your app and it updates to all the newest rules. I mean, it sounds so simple, doesn't it? But I can't believe they're not doing it already. They should have been doing this for years. It's 2020 now, and I can't believe they're still not doing that. Antes on community site says you'd need a hard copy codex with the app. Well, yeah, they would say that, wouldn't they? I imagine it's going to be very similar to Battlescribe. I imagine it's going to be that kind of thing. And so, yeah, going to still need your codex alongside it. Like you do with Battlescribe, you still need your rules and stuff. Battlescribe has the points and stuff and things in it, and it can tell you whether what you've equipped things with is legal, but you still need their data sheets and special rules and stuff to be able to use them in game. So I imagine it is going to be like that. Stevo, thoughts on the new game table size, 4x4 foot standard? To be honest, I play loads of 4x4 games anyway. I don't remember them actually speaking. I've got no notes on that, because I know there's been lots of rumors and other information that's come out after the Twitch feed and during it and stuff. I haven't had a chance to look at everything today, guys, so there's probably bits of information that I'm just completely unaware of at the moment. But at the moment, I would play 1,500 point games on a 4x4 very comfortably. I usually play on a 6x4, but I've played on 4x4s and very comfortable. I used to play on 4x4s all the time. It depends. I think once you break 1,500 points, you really need sort of 6x4. But I mean, that's great. It helps. A 4x4 is obviously much easier to find the space for. A lot easier, because a lot of rooms in UK households struggle to fit in a 6x4 table. I mean, even my living room, we have to move everything out of the way and put the tables up, and we've only got just enough room to squeeze around the table to get out into the kitchen and stuff to get a brew during games. So yeah, it can be tricky. Jay Crafton says, so real talk, will this be as big a change from 7th to 8th? No. I haven't experienced edition change and I'm scared. Don't be scared, buddy. It's going to be some tweaks and changes. The codex you've got now will carry on working. The game will still very much feel the same. You've still got your stratagems. The data sheets aren't changing. There will be changes to the rules, but then it's still going to essentially be 8th. This is a baby step. The jump from 7th to 8th is a complete rewrite, and they hadn't done that since 3rd edition. 3rd edition was like a massive change from 2nd edition, and actually the 3rd edition rulebook came with all the rules for all the factions until they got their codexes. And 8th was the first time in a long time where they just went, wipe the slate clean, start again from scratch. And they needed to do that. They did need to do that, I think. They kind of, in my opinion, they kind of reached the pinnacle with 5th. And then after that, it was bloat, and formations and and just ruined it. And I think that's kind of what they do. They come out of edition, it's good, core rules and stuff, it has its issues, and they refine it, and it gets to a certain point, and then they reach a point where you can't really make it any better, but they keep adding shit to it and tweaking it and just end up making it worse. Carl Riki says 4x4 is my GW contact. It's for standard. 6x4 will be for larger games. Nice. A little information from the inside there. Well, no wonder I didn't know it then. I
forgot you were recording. Sorry.
What the hell are you doing? I'm live here, woman.
Sorry.
Oh, thank you, baby. Cheers, sweetheart. Oh, professionalism, eh? What have I got? She bought me gifts, look. So I've got, what was my good lady got me? A nice ice cold can of Coca-Cola and a can of Rio. Very nice. And also air freshener for the car. Very cool. Nivik Russell says, Mrs. Marshall was laughing. Disson Snogoot says, it seems like the vehicles are going to be the focus of 9th. Yeah, I remember when I went to, I played in Idic Beer's celebratory tournament, and there were 8 of us there playing this tournament, and I don't think any of us were using vehicles. At least there's some people who were using things like mech guns, and I think that was pretty much it. But yeah, the majority of people weren't using vehicles at all. And I remember Nick saying at one point, he said, I see no one's got any vehicles in their list. That's probably quite telling. And yeah, I think some of the players I play with in that, they did try for a bit at the beginning, but I mean, they were coming up against me and my Bad Moon Tank Busters, so they kind of fell out of love with all their vehicles very quickly because they got sick of them being destroyed so early on in game and so easily. I do think vehicles have struggled in 8th actually, and I think that it sounds like they are just like I say, they're doing the right thing, I think, in improving those and making things like tanks formidable on the battlefield again, and things like a tank being locked in combat and not being able to shoot and stuff. You can have arguments from both sides of the fence. They can say, "Oh, the crew is inside panicking and stuff." I mean, that depends what the crew are. If it's hardened Space Marine stuff, I doubt they're panicking. I think what they're saying and what they're hinting at with this stuff sounds like vehicles are going to potentially dish out more punishment with these sort of blast weapons and stuff, and also be more usable even if they're locked in combat and stuff. So that is going to be cool. Bill DeGrasse Hawker says, what is Rio? Rio is a very nice drink that we get in the UK here. It's a bit like Lilt, but nicer, I think. This has got orange, guava, apricot, mango, and passion fruit in lightly sparkling spring water. So there you go. But I will crack one of them open in a minute, because at the moment I'm enjoying my coffee from my lovely mug. What's this Dread saying? Steve, you're fecked, mate. Improvements to vehicles and flyers. Ah, yes, because Dread's list is full of vehicles and flyers. Well, we don't know when this edition's coming out. It could be a while. They've talked about it. So, you know, Dread's now hoping by the time we play our games, we're playing 9th edition rules. Sticks, anyone else trying to figure out how vehicles fight in melee? Eric Brown, 4x4 would be ace for Du Bois, 3,000 points. We is assaulting. No, 4x4 with 3,000 points, especially if you're playing hordes of boys, is where you just can't set your army up. There's not enough space, especially when they're on 32mm bases. A large number of the orc vehicles are just not worth points, exception trucks. Yeah, I get great success out of my trucks. And I was just chatting with Reroll Joe today, and we were talking about how much he hates my truck because he's just never able to kill the thing. I mean, he does kill it eventually, but it takes him several turns to kill. And I said, I can't understand why. It's a very weak vehicle with light armor. It's a fragile thing that will just literally fall apart. But it just seems to be lucky. I must have splashed some blue paint on it at some point. He just never seems to be able to kill it. Rivets and Daku is laughing at Dread. We're all laughing at Dread, mate. He's got no chance. Builder Grass talking, what the fuck is lilt? I tell you, are you American, buddy? I mean, if you're American, I might be able to think of a drink that compares. I forgot. Do you not get lilt in America? I thought you would. Lilt is part of the Coca-Cola company. Who makes Rio? I don't know. It doesn't say. But yeah, there we go. With real fruit and fruit juice. Source of vitamin C. There you go. They're selling it as a bloody health drink. It is loaded with sugar, though. Oh, well. I never get any of the diet drinks. Diet drinks taste like filth. Can't stand them. They leave that horrible aftertaste in your mouth. I don't know what got into the world. I remember when no one drank diet drinks, everyone thought they were rubbish. And the only people that drank diet drinks were people that were actually trying to lose weight and stuff. But now you get people that are like, oh, no, I prefer the taste of diet drinks. So you people are mental. Absolutely mental. Yes, Captain Morgan, well done, buddy. You reminded me. I've got it noted down, but I went past it. New terrain rules. New terrain rules is good because terrain rules in 8th, I find weird and confusing. I've never quite. If there's anything in 8th, one of the best things I found about 8th is that very rarely do I come up with issues that I come up with in several editions before, where you and the other player are, well, you could be disagreeing or just discussing or whatever. Something comes up and you can't agree on what the ruling is, and you're trying to find out what the rule is, or you just don't know and you're trying to find the rule. Generally in 8th, I found it such a easy rule set to get to grips with that situation just comes up far, far less. The one thing that does come up a lot, though, in a lot of my games is terrain. Terrain has been, I don't know, it was kind of a bit of an afterthought in 8th, I think, and the rules are not very clear on terrain. And then they've obviously done FAQs and things on it, which confuses and confounds the problem even further. So I'm really pleased that they're putting a focus on terrain, and hopefully they'll make the rules very simple and yeah, just easy to understand and easy to implement, and terrain will be of use. Terrain is of very little use to horde armies. Again, chatting to a mate today, and I said basically terrain for orcs a lot of the time is just irrelevant with things like cover saves and stuff, because the whole unit has to be in the terrain to benefit from the cover. Like, well, I've got 30 boys here on 32mm bases. They're not fitting on any bit of terrain I've got at the moment. So they're never going to get a cover save. So yeah, Builder Grass Hawkins says diet drinks equals chemicals, more chemicals. You're just right, mate. I would give me buckets and buckets of sugar any day over fucking chemicals any day. Just say no to diet drinks. Yes, thank you, people. Spencer, Coca-Cola Classic is fucking class, mate. Blimey, big fan. We've got some. We've got a Coca-Cola representative in here by the sound of it. So yeah, new terrain rules is going to be good. I like where their focus is. Their focus seems to be on vehicles, including aircraft, and terrain. Which is really, really cool, and improving like the power of some of these big blast weapons. a lot of people lament the loss of blast templates and stuff. And like I said, when they first started speaking, they said there was blast. I was like, are they bringing back blast templates? But no, it doesn't sound like they are. It just sounds like they're going to be really nasty weapons for especially horde armies, which is why a lot of people in the orc community are going, oh, well, we're screwed. But they've also spoke about melee and how they're going to sort of, because 8th is well known as the shooty edition, where shooting is king, and assault armies have suffered a fair bit. And so, yeah, putting a bit of focus on melee. They haven't really given us anything there to indicate what that's going to be. But yeah, so we, like anything, we're probably going to be sort of affected negatively. Like this is purely from a competitive standpoint. We'll be affected. Some of these rule changes will affect your army, your list negatively. That will happen. Some of the changes will affect it in a positive way. If some of the changes do affect your particular army or your particular list in a negative way, that doesn't mean the edition is shit. It just means it's different and it might not work in your favor. A lot of people tend to use like, oh, this doesn't work for me, therefore the whole thing is shit. And I've dealt with that loads of times. I dealt with that back in like 5th. I remember my mate who had his pansy army just freaking out because his wave serpent was no longer unkillable. Because in 4th edition they were fucking unkillable, and he wouldn't have it. He wouldn't have it, and he would not have it. How ridiculous it was! But they tweaked the rules, and he was like, "Oh, it's crap, it's crap." I'm like, "Well, it's no, because you're looking at it from a very biased point of view of how it just directly affects you and that one vehicle. That doesn't mean it's crap. Look at it logically; it makes more sense." Kyle Reiki, he says the smaller table buffs melee. Less distance to move, less distance for them to run away, and deployment gets buffs for melee armies. Yeah, obviously, smaller table definitely helps us out. What am I going to do with all my 6x4 mats then? Luckily, I've got some 4x4 ones as well. Barbarian Chef says, I actually love playing the underdog army. Much more satisfying when you do win. Yeah, very true, very true. Paul Booth, it wasn't the wave serpent, it was the hollow field on the grav tank. No, so what I'm talking about from that, we're going way off topic here, going way back to old editions, but the wave serpent, or I think all the elder vehicles actually, if they moved over a certain distance, you could only get a glancing hit on them. And I believe it was during 4th, where there was no, on the glancing hit table, there was no vehicle destroyed thing. And yeah, it basically made, all I can tell you is that the vehicles that he spent like 100 and something points on were harder to kill than my 300 odd point monolith. That's all I can tell you. Like, so, and like things like land raiders and monoliths were much easier to kill than his fucking wave serpents. They were literally, and I think I remember someone online, they worked out the statistics of it, the odds, and it worked out like how many shots you'd have to statistically have to put into them to kill them, and it was just like ludicrous. And then I remember in 5th they changed it so that when they moved over a certain distance, it wasn't that you got on the glancing hit table or you could only score a glancing hit, it was that they got a 4+ invulnerable save. And he was disgusted with that, and I'm like, you've still got a 50-50 shot of surviving, but at least now I've got a chance of actually killing you. But yeah, but that was just one way of talking about it. Nivik says, yeah, but the monolith is really fecked. Well, this is going a long time back, buddy. So the monolith, yeah, currently, the current rules for the monolith is shit. In the current rules, it is really bad. G the Hypersapien says, so you was a Necron player, Stevo. What do you think of the new stuff? Well, I've got that in the notes, buddy, and I was going to get to that. Let's just check. We've gone over all the rules and stuff and the things in terms of new edition. Yeah, we've gone over that. Just in closing, before we get into the talk of the miniatures and stuff that we saw, new edition wise, I think there's a lot to be hopeful about. I think they've announced it. If they'd announced it any earlier, it would have been too early. And I think they're right on the verge of almost being too early. But I think we're kind of reaching the point now. We kind of all felt it, didn't we? We all felt it. We knew it was coming. And 8th has had a lot of tweaks, a lot of changes, a lot of FAQs. And it will be kind of nice in a way if 9th kind of simplifies it all back into one book for a little while, at least. Within a few months, you know what's going to happen. But yeah, what they've talked about sounds good. It sounds promising. We shall wait and see. I'm sure the following months are going to be full of information and speculation, and it'll be interesting to see. What we got here, Skarner's talking smack. Sticks 88 because Stevo is a tin boy at heart. Scrape back the yellow paint and the gits shiny and chrome. Yeah, I'm a Necron fanboy. I'll admit it. I'm a Necron fanboy. But they ain't as good as orcs, are they? They are not as good as the orcs. I'm going to do some hobby in a minute as well. I'm going to do some hobby. What am I working on? Before I get into more of the other stuff, let's show you what I've been working on. So I've been massively distracted. I was making really good progress on my 1.5k list. Really good progress. And lately, over the last week, I've been getting distracted. I've still been building stuff. I've still been painting. I've still been hobbying. And on my sort of army as a whole, making really good progress. But I'm not as focused as I was. I'm not religiously sticking to what I need to get done. I keep getting distracted by other things. And one of those things is this cool Cromlech big gun that I've got, which at the moment, at least, is not part of my 1.5k list. But I just got it through the post the other day, and I'm like, oh, I just want to build this and paint it because it looks awesome. So yeah, I'm currently working on it at the moment. Just getting some colours down. He's all ready. I don't usually do this. I usually do the glue it together with the sand and everything before I paint. But just to make it easier on myself. So what I did was I blue tacked it all in and put little bits of blue tack. So I don't know if you can see on there, but you see the little spots where there's no sand? That's because that's where the miniature connects to it. And I've got the grot crew, and I love Cromlech's grots. They're awesome. They're really cool. They tie in really well with GW grots. A tiny bit bigger in scale, but not by much. And yeah, they're just really cool. And they've got a lot of character to them, just like GW's ones, but they're different, so it's more variety. And just like I did with my Met guns, basing them all on making a little diorama, because yeah, I don't like seeing loads of Met guns and stuff without grot crew. I think it's a bit lazy and they look a bit naff. And I'm like, looking at it on the game table, I'm like, well, who's operating them guns? And I just think they look really cool when they're based. And yeah, so and it's quite, this is going to be quite a nice simple paint job as well, because it's a nice simple old school looking cannon. So there's not a lot of detail on it. It's just going to be metal with some armor panels painted up, and I've got 2 grot crew to paint. So hopefully I can get that done fairly quickly. And I just wanted to do it because it just looks really cool. And I sort of thought, well, that'll be a fun thing. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of avoiding, I kind of reached a point with my army of like, oh, yeah, I don't know. You just reach a certain point in the paint job and you're like, oh, so I paint something else, do something else. So I've been sort of just getting distracted with other projects, but it's all progress. Looking at the bigger picture, it's still progress towards my whole army getting painted, but it's just not getting me. I need to soon, I think after I finish this cannon, I need to kind of get back on with my list and focus on getting that done, because I'll be so pleased once it is done. What we got going on in the chat, Sticks Jigswa, why is they doing that? They can always I thought those tin heads were almost unkillable in 2nd edition. Well, in 2nd edition they were literally just skirmish force. It was they weren't really a proper faction. They only had like rules, I think, like White Dwarf or chapter approved or something. But yeah, I never, that was a little bit before my time. Stevo, you're right. I hated them back then. I think this chat's you're talking about stuff that I've skipped down. I can't remember what you're referring to. Sorry, Eric. Cromlech has been kind of hard to get in Canada. I found some in stores, but the exchange rates makes it pricey. Yeah. Rivets and Daka, none. The game is too expensive to start an army from scratch at this point, let alone keeping up to date with the rules for more than one army. Yeah, it's expensive to start at the moment. It is expensive to start a new faction. But having said that, I'm about to say it, but I'm sure some people do. Who goes out and buys the entire army in one hit? When you start an army, you start off with a box or two, don't you? A few little bits, and you get them built up, and you slowly build it up. And I think if you were to start a new faction nowadays, you're probably best off sort of starting with kill team, build a little kill team, and then that's your starting little point. You've got your one squad, and then just add a little bit, and you do it in baby steps. That's how I'd recommend anyone. Cause I wouldn't recommend anyone just to go out and come back with boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff and start from there, because that would be nuts. We're talking about looters as well. Yeah, I know Scar is he's sick to death of painting them damn looters. Gina Hypertape, exactly. It's part of the fun, or slowly to start, build really and better on the wallet. Yeah, totally. And you don't notice it so much. And I mean, I don't know. I kind of think about some things, like I think about how much value you get out of like each box you buy. And I think like you could compare it to like computer games and stuff. Like you spend like 40, 50 quid on a game. And sometimes you get like, I don't know, you could complete the game within a couple of days. It depends what the game is. Some will give you loads and loads of time. And some games are quite short and they can be done over with. But you think about the time you spend building the miniature, the time you spent painting the miniature, and then all the fun you have then playing with that miniature. You get a lot of value out of that. And it just keeps on giving. You carry on using that for years to come. And so you do get, it depends how you measure the value. Also, the stuff doesn't lose value. So you can sell stuff on and recoup a lot of your money. You only need to look at some of the stupid prices on eBay to confirm that. Stick says, did you draw Pac-Man on your arm? No, I've got I've got Pac-Man on there. I've got Space Invaders on there, buddy. They're all unfinished. It's part of a larger sleeve that is work in progress. It's been work in progress for a long time because I need to get back down there and get it finished at some point. Cyborgs could be good. Seems like the new edition, says Big Mac Danskull, could spell the end for Kill Team, with them saying this version scales better. I'm not sure, because they mentioned Combat Patrol, didn't they? But they didn't make any mention of Kill Team. I think Kill Team will still be its own game, because that Kill Team is very much more a skirmish game and built more around campaigns and stuff, and getting like XP and things and upgrading this stuff. So I don't think Kill Team's going anywhere, and Kill Team has been massively successful. But I love that they mentioned Combat Patrol, because Combat Patrol is a different beast again. It's smaller scale, not as small as Kill Team, but it's smaller scale. And again, that's a great way for someone to start an army. Start a Combat Patrol team, because that's like just a couple of units, a light vehicle or something. It's a step through the door, and you can start playing. And so yeah, that's the kind of way for anyone to start an army. Like I say, if I was to start another faction now, that's what I would do. I would sort of aim towards like a 500 point army, or I would start a kill team and then go from there. I mean, my video I did a little while ago about small games, me and my brother are playing, what was it? Ludicrously small game. It was like 250 points or something. It was ludicrously small. And you know what? It was bloody good fun. Really, really good fun. Try it if you haven't. Like, you have to set certain rules and restrictions, but not much. And yeah, we found it great fun. Rivets and Daka says, Stevo, question. With given time and money, what other faction would you collect? Good question, Rivets. Good question. Do you know what? Well, before today, I would have said it wouldn't be Necrons, actually. but the stuff they've revealed today does look bloody cool. It would probably be Dark Elder, or sorry, Drukhari. Yeah, it would. If I was to collect another faction now, the way I'm feeling now, it would probably be Dark Elder, because I've always had a bit of a soft spot for them. I've never had a Dark Elder army. I've played with my brother-in-law's army. He had a massive Dark Elder army back in the day, and I borrowed it to play a couple of games with it just to have fun playing with that faction. And yeah, I just like what they're about, and they're cool. I think they're cool. But it'd basically be any of the evil factions. I like all the evil factions, and jungle fighters. I like jungle fighters as well. But yeah, probably Dark Elder. Essex Boy says Kill Team is a great gateway game. Yeah, yeah, it is. But in a lot of ways, it's actually more complicated to play than 40k. The rules are a lot more in depth, and there's a lot more to them. Yeah, the only thing I kind of got a bit confused with Kill Team was you've got wounds, and then you've got flesh wounds, and they're different things. And I think Kill Team still needs like some slight work to tweak it slightly, but yeah, I've had a lot of fun with the few games of Kill Team I've had. Every one of them has been really, really good fun, and it has felt different to 40k and a lot more dynamic, and like the character and stuff of the units comes out in the game, and yeah, I've just really enjoyed it. CM Wargame says new missions hopefully will see an improvement in gaming experience. Rosalind Primrose looks like 9th edition going to see lots of love for all Xenos players. Jigsaw, I really want new Catachans. Yeah, I would like to see new Catachans as well. Plastic game, Rosalind Primrose, I believe that when I see it. Elder are just never the elves I'm looking for. Sly Marbo. Disson Snagoot, bad guys always have more fun. Yeah, damn straight, damn straight. Who wants to be the glory boys, eh? Jordan, sorry I'm late to the party. Hi, Stevo. Nice to join you live for the first time. Keeping me entertained while I finish painting the last 5 of my first Orc Boys squad. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. Your first Orc Boys squad, eh? You're in for a wild ride, buddy. Bill DeGrasse Hawking says, I want names I can spell. Yeah. Is that in reference to GW changing the names of all their stuff, like Dark Elder to Drukhari and things like that? Yeah, I agree. I preferred it when they were just called Dark Elder. But they can't copyright those things, can they? Essex Boys, Kill Team rules are quite complex. I always muck up between wounds and flesh wounds. Haha. Yeah, it was... You could see they were sort of shoehorning that on over 40k rules a bit. I think if they're going to make it its own game, maybe take it even further away from 40k, because that was confusing. For me, Kill Team feels like a smaller game that captures the character of 40k, but Combat Patrol feels like a different game, like 40k Light. Yeah, I agree, Dansko. Yeah, very much. Combat Patrol is 40k Light. I remember they used to call it back in the day 40k in 40 minutes. And yeah, it's cool. It's great fun. Yeah, I've got a lot of love for Combat Patrol, and I'd like to see it back in an official sense. And it sounds like it is coming back. And also they're talking about scaling up as well. So I don't know what that means for the new Apocalypse game that, from what I can tell, no one bought or plays, because I've heard nothing about it since it was kind of revealed. And I've just got no, I can't, if I want to play a large scale game, I'm just going to play a large scale game of 40k. Because I don't want to learn a whole new set of rules to play a massive game. It's just, I wouldn't play Apocalypse size games often enough for those rules to stick in. If I'm playing a rule set regularly, it starts to stick in my head, the repetition. But most of us will play an Apocalypse scale size game once in a blue moon. And so I just think a whole boxed game for the purpose of that is kind of unrequired. Plastic Crack Gamer says, Stevo, I bought it. You did. You haven't played it though, have you? I don't think many people have. I mean, it might be really good. but it's still a whole new fucking rule set to learn. And Apocalypse games are a big old sort of job in themselves to play without sort of new rules. I don't know. Nav's Hobby Corner says, once in a bad moon. Nice. So what else will we talk about? What else did they talk about today and reveal? They also revealed Primaris with chainswords. So my buddy, Reroll Joe, he was pleased to see that. And that's hopeful for Marine players because they're mini Marines. As much as people don't want to admit it or don't want to face it, they're being phased out, guys. It's going to take a long time, but eventually they will be gone. And so if in order for them to do that, they need to have the equivalents of things like Assault Marines, Terminators in Primaris form before you're going to get all the Marine players to convert over to Primaris. And even then, you're still going to have a battle GW. Primaris will forever divide the community. But it's cool to see that they've got those. They're what should have been included with Ragnar in Prophecy of the Wolf. Those sort of Marines, for sure. That's what he needed in that box, really, to make the Space Wolves half of the box a good set. But it's cool that they're getting them. And they've also had pictures of like possible Primaris bikes as well, which could be cool. But more excitedly, for me anyway, was the Necron stuff. I've always liked the Necron Warriors as they are. I'm a fan of the green rods. I know some people don't like the green rods, but I've got to admit these new Necron Warriors are lovely looking. And if they ever, sure will happen eventually. Okay, when they eventually do a new set of Orc Boys and replace the current set that we've got, if they do it, I want them to do it in the same way that they've done with the Necron Warriors. And what I mean by that is these new Necron Warriors, they look like an improvement over the old ones. They look cool. They've got more options now. Necron Warriors have always just had the one gun, and that's your lot. Now they've got a choice of 2 different weapons, which both look cool. But they've got a little bit more detail in them. They've got some battle damage. They've got some little bits of character tips that they've just tweaked them enough to just make them look a bit crisper, a bit better. They look a bit more undead, which was always kind of the feel I think they would originally kind of had. And they look cool, but they don't make the old Warriors look shit. If you put the old Warriors on the table, I think they'll still hold up with the new ones. And so that, to me, is the perfect way to update a miniature. So it wouldn't make our old boys obsolete. But if we get some new boys that have got cool new characters, cool new options with them and stuff, and they look like an improvement, but not so not so much that there's a glaring difference between them and the old ones. And so I would, just looking at the way they've done with the Necron Warriors, I'd love them to take that same approach with Orc Boys, because I think that would be cool. I would hate that they would clash and that it would mean replacing all your boys, or going the other way and sort of rebelling against it and going, nope, I'm sticking with all my old boys. So yeah, but yeah, they look really cool. I think they've done a fantastic job with those new Necron Warriors, and I'm sure they'll come with new rules as well. Well, they will, because they've got new weapon options. But hopefully Necron Warriors will see action on the table again, because people don't use them this edition. Everyone uses Immortals because Immortals are so much better for the points. And so it's going to be good to see Necron Warriors being a viable choice again, hopefully anyway. I also spoke to Idic Beer earlier as well. And he said there's images online, which I'm sure some of you have seen, which hints at a new monolith. So again, a miniature that desperately needs new rules, and it's a very old miniature now. I do love the monolith, but I think an update to that would be pretty cool. So that'll be interesting. And then of course we saw the big one of all, the Silent King, right at the end of the trailer. The Silent King, which we got a little sneak peek of, little flashed images of it, and yeah, it looks cool. That's what I can say. Silent King looks cool, and it's good to see. It's just good to see the Necrons getting some love. Actually, it's good to see. I'm always pleased to see any of the Xenos races get any love, actually, because it's GW do like to focus on Imperium and Chaos a lot, and us Xenos players of all the different factions tend to get pushed to the sidelines a bit. So anytime the Xenos get some love is good in my book. And hopefully 9th being launched with what we think is going to be Primaries versus Necrons. Hopefully 9th, because 8th has very much been focused in on Imperium and Chaos. Very much. Us Orc players, Necron players, everyone else has been very much and us too, sort of sideline attractions. So if 9th sort of brings the focus back a bit more on the Xenos and the alien threats, that'll be very cool. And that'll be interesting to see where that goes. G the Hypersapien, he says, the king reminds me of that death character with the servants. CM Wargame says, Nick will be smug for the next few months with all that goodness on show. Yeah, it's going to be great for his channel. Biggest Necron channel on YouTube. He's gonna explode with all the Necron love and news that's coming out. Praise be the Xenos, says Bill. And Robert Marshall says, Nagash 40k. Yeah, you get to draw comparisons there, certainly. But I think they've always been the kind of undead faction of 40k, haven't they? And Snogoot says, agreed, Xenos are due for some love. Yeah, they are. It'd be good if we bring the focus on us a bit. And it could mean good things for us, because if they're putting that focus on Necrons and stuff, could be good for us. Hopefully we see more Orcs soon. We are so close to Terra to not be a threat. Oh, we're a massive, massive threat. Massive threat. And yeah, hopefully we'll get some new miniatures and stuff to represent that. I don't know if our wallet can take it though. G the Hypersapien, the new Death Army, has a character I forgot to name at the moment. Ah, right. And Sebastian Hovenus just says, "Wow, cool." Should I actually do some hobby? I haven't done any hobby yet. I think I've got over all my notes and everything that I talked about. So yeah, sorry guys, I haven't responded. I tried to respond to all your comments now, but there's a lot of you in here today. I think it's got something to do with all the news. But yeah, I wanted to sort of try and talk about what I wanted to talk about there. And now let's do some hobby. I will just do something nice and simple, because what was I doing last time? Bald Knobs and a Scar always says to me, don't do any of the detail painting while you're doing a live stream, because it never works out. And he's very right, it doesn't. So I'm going to do something nice and simple and just continue to work on my base of my cannon for the moment and get that all done. So it's weird doing it in this order, because the base is usually the very last thing I paint, other than things like blood splatters and stuff, but that won't be an issue for this. So let's get me colour out. It's good wrist action, eh? We got going in the chat. Loads of chat. Jeez, it's gone mental. I bet the Silent King will cost $155. Yeah, he's going to be pricey, because he's big. I mean, that's what we got from the reveal. He's big. He's kind of like a diorama sort of set. It does look very cool. Rosalind Primrose says, there is a new Catan. Interesting. Big Mac Danskull, about to get set up to make a start on Macari myself. Good. I saw your stream the other day, Dan, where you were working on Gaz. I've got a confession to make, guys, as well. Some of you will be like, just like, what's he playing at? But like I said, I needed a base for this cannon, and the base I'm using for this cannon is actually it is actually Gazkull's base. This is, but not anymore. I've nicked it off Gazzy because I'm not building him for a while. I was kind of in no rush to build him. I'm glad I've got him, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I've nicked his base. So until I can get an hold of another one, Gazzy is baseless. So yeah, it's been nicked for a little weedy grot cannon. But there you go. It's been nicked for a weedy little Legends unit. But yeah, there you go. Right. Sebastian says, oh, gasp. Haha, the boss won't be happy. I'm sure he won't. Builder Grass says, I keep stopping to chat and not getting the dishes done. At this rate, I will never get to painting. That's what happens to me, mate. Sometimes, quite often, if I'm watching Scar's live streams and stuff, or Dread's live streams. Dread's in particular, because he always mentions me. He always mentions me, usually dissing me or giving out some stick, and I've got to respond to it and, you know, take the bait. And so I end up bloody stopping what I'm doing. My paintbrush is drying out because I'm too busy typing in and discussing things. So sometimes I just have to learn to just ignore it and just listen and roll my eyes and carry on painting. I'm not biting. I'm not biting. I've got too much hobby to do. Right. So what is everyone else working on? And what is everyone else's feelings on? What are your feelings on this announcement today of this new edition? Do you think it's gonna? Does it sound promising? Oh, for fuck's sake. I keep doing that, like, they keep dropping things straight into the pool of paint I've just put out. I did it with the actual cannon yesterday. I dropped it. I was getting the gun metal and I just put the blob on there, picked up the cannon and dropped it straight into the thing. And then I had to quickly get the brush and brush it over the thing before it bloody stuck all over it. But anywho. Stick says, oh shit, I just remember, Stevo, have you seen the new rules for Grok? I haven't seen the rules in detail, but I see that they're like a White Dwarf thing. And so I didn't have a huge amount of interest in them. It's cool that they've done that, but I'm under no illusion that that will be very, very temporary. They won't. They're very temporary, and then they'll be gone again. RE says, you've never managed to resist ever. That's Dread talking about his thing. Nav says he's hyped about 9th. G the Hypersapien says he's working on his diggers that he showed on his channel. Mon says, but I was hyped for 8th. 9th edition, finally, says someone. Really? It's only been, what, 8th has been like 3 years now? It still feels fairly new to me. Marco says, I've not painted in this stream yet. I'm excited about the new edition after listening to all the propaganda. Now it makes me even more tempted to sell my Harlequins and Flesh Eater Courts to buy more Necrons and Orcs. Mate, I will happily, get rid of them pansies, get some Orcs. Bringing my cans up to a unit of 6, said Summers. Good for you. At least they're not reinventing the wheel, says Paul Booth. Hoping there are some additional terrain types introduced. It's not the time for a whole revamp in that sense. That would be bad. That would be very bad. No matter what your feelings are on 8th, that would be the wrong time to do that for sure. No, it's. I think these rules as we know them now, they're here to stay for a while. They're here to stay for a while. I think 9th will, I reckon, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I think people that enjoy 8th now, I think will enjoy 9th and probably enjoy it even more for the most part. Some people may not like the changes that come. And I think those that have issues with 8th and are not fans of 8th may find that these improvements that they make through 9th edition turns it round for them and addresses some of the issues and some of the problems they have with 8th. I think anyone hankering to sort of go back to earlier editions is just, well, they're dreaming. I don't think that's going to happen, at least not for a long time, if ever. You'll see little nodbacks and things, I'm sure, some little rules and things from previous editions that people loved and liked. They might get little references and brought back in some form or another. I mean, they did that with 8th, and they brought back a few of the things from like 2nd edition and stuff and brought them in. Just looking at some of the chat. Everyone's just saying what they're up to. By the time 9th rolls in, I'll have a proper army put together for once. Nice. Yeah, I mean, same. I mean, I'm hoping I'll have a fully painted army by the time 9th rolls around. Yeah. I wonder when they're actually going to launch it. I mean, they haven't revealed a release date, have they? Did I miss that? I don't think I've seen any mention of a release. I think it's going to be a little way off. I don't think this is like coming like in a month's time or anything. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. But that'd be very quick. They've still got a little bit more to do with Psychic Awakening and stuff. So I don't think 8th is put to bed just yet. I already had today messages of people saying to me, "Oh, our next game will be 9th edition." I'm like, well, hopefully the lockdown will finish before it's launched, and yeah, we don't actually know when it's coming out yet. Oh, Mon says, I'm currently waiting on 90 Greatcoat Boys from Cromlech. Gets delivered tomorrow, and I'm going to hopefully get straight into them. Whoa, 90 resin miniatures. That's going to be fun. Yeah, they look cool. They look cool. I'm not personally a fan of Cromlech's orc heads, but that's the only thing I don't like. That's just down to, that's not because they're crap sculpts or anything. They're really nice and detailed, and they look they're good. They're just not to my taste. They look to me too different. They're too much of a deviation from GW's heads. And anytime any of the companies, the third-party companies, change the aesthetic look of them, I'm generally not a fan of it, because I really like GW orcs. And so I like it when they kind of stick to that same theme. And but like I said, their grots I love. And their grots have their own sort of look as well, but they still look like grots. They, you know, if you put them with your GW grots, they work well, I think. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to painting these two little fellas up actually. And I was looking at actually on the Cromlech website, I was looking at the unit of grots, and oh, they look awesome. And I've got 30 grots now in my whole army, like, you know, foot slogging grot troopers, and they're all GW ones. And so if I was to add any more grots, which I most likely will, then I will probably get those Cromlech ones, because they look really cool. They look a bit beefier and a bit more hench than the normal grots, but if you sprinkle a few of them in amongst each squad, they look cool. They almost look like the little squad leaders. And also you could use them as to represent like an upgraded unit, like say you were running like 2 different clans or whatever, and you had some like snakebite grots. They could be those ones to sort of show that they're the better ones. But yeah, I like the look of them a lot. So at some point, I will be purchasing them from Cromlech, because yeah, they look really damn cool. And I don't want to build any more of the GW grots, because I've built quite a few of them now. And yeah, I see a lot of people saying they don't like the sculptures of them. I really like the sculptures of them. What I don't like is the sort of the lack of posability in the options. So you get a few options in there, and you can create a few different things in that, but they do start to repeat. You get a lot of single monopose sculpts and stuff. So you do get a lot of repeats, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, they're grots. Who cares?" I'm like, well. And you get a lot of people like just buying up hundreds and hundreds of like second edition grots, and I'm like, yeah, no, that doesn't look good. I don't mind 1 or 2 sprinkled in there for like nostalgia's sake, but we've moved on for a reason in sculpts, and nostalgia and stuff is great, but let's be honest, guys, they look crap by today's standards. They look really crap. They were cool for the time, but yeah, and you know, I wouldn't have them in my army, put it that way. But I know a lot of people really like them, and yeah, each to their own. They're just not for me, not anymore anyway. I've been there and done that. I had them back when I had that original second edition box, and I had all me Goth boys and me 40 grots, I think you got in that set back then. You got 20 Goth boys, I believe, and 40 grots, up against like 20 Blood Angel Space Marines and all the cardboard terrain and your cardboard Death Dread and stuff, known as an Orc Dreadnought back then. Good memories. Only wish I'd had someone to play that with. Bought it, had it, built them excitedly, and then never had anyone to play with. Just used to set them all up and imagine playing it in my bedroom, making pew pew noises with them all. It wasn't until later on with 3rd edition that I actually properly managed to get into the game and actually get someone to sort of play the game with me and yeah, go from there. All right, that's got the second layer done on that base anyway. Oh, I've just gone over the rim. I'll have to do that again. Right, what's going on in the chat before I get the next layer on? The Pale Orc, what have I missed? Loads, mate. We've covered it all now. Now I'm just mumbling as I hobby. Bill DeGrasse Hawking, love grots, dislike the herders, a must-be custom mini in my mind. Oh, the runt herds. I really like the runt herd miniature. I really like it, but they're not great in game, or they're kind of surplus to requirements most of the time in game, I think. I have used them in larger games, and when I'm using a large mob of grots, they're useful. But I usually use my grots in like just small squads of 10, and runt herds are kind of irrelevant at that point. Yeah, and they need to be cheaper. Runt herds need to be a lot cheaper. They're way too expensive for what they do. If they were cheaper, I'd use them a lot more often, because I do like the miniature. I like the old slave master guy with all the furs on him and the whip and the squig hound and stuff and the grot prod. I think he's cool miniature. And he comes with options. He comes with like 2 different head options and different weapon and war gear options. So you can have, I've built 2 of them different ways. Got one with the whip, one with the squig hound. Yeah, I like them. I wish I could use them. I wish competitively they were like better, because I would like to use them, because they come into. I need to paint one actually. I'd have good fun painting one. It'd be a bit like painting my weird boy. The same kind of textures and furs and stuff. It would be cool. What shall I have? What shall I have? What shall I open, guys? DePale Orc says, "Did I win that vehicle yet?" Ha ha ha. Yeah, Mr. Scrum says, "I haven't heard it is an easy weird boy." Yeah. And Bill DeGrasse says, "The runt herd model has never fit in with the rest of them to my eye." Well, he's going to look a bit different, isn't he? Because runt herds they're odd boys, aren't they? And runt herds are quite fond of their little grots in a certain kind of way. And they're the ones that tell the stories. They remind me of like the village elder almost. They're the ones that sort of talk about the orc history and the lore and stuff, and they spread the stories and things. And so yeah, they are going to be a bit different from the rest of the things. I've always really liked the miniature, but each to their own. But yeah, they do make excellent weird boy conversions. A really good way to get a cheap weird boy. But yeah, guys, vote now. Here you go, vote now. I'll leave it up to you. Should I drink the Coca-Cola or should I drink the Rio? I'll give it. I'm getting quite thirsty, and as you can hear, I keep coughing, so I need to wet my palate a bit. So after a couple of votes, I will go with it. Someone's got a straining. We've got 1 vote for Coke. Oh, we've got cool votes are pouring in. We've got 3 for 3 at the moment. 3 for Coke, 3 for Rio. Oh, there's a 4th one for Rio. Pour them both in a glass. It's a roll of dice, like they grow the sport in Rio, Coke. Gotta go Rio. I think Rio's winning at the moment. Another one for Coke. Roll and knob. Coke, obviously, says Spencer. Gee, the hyposapiens is just because I've not heard of it. There you go then. Rio just won out. It's happening now. Big Mac says go for some Diet Coke. Sod off. For me, Coca-Cola full fat makes me feel like my teeth have sprouted hair. Don't swish it round your teeth. Goes straight to the back of your throat usually, doesn't it? Well, the Coke, sorry guys, there's more votes for Coke coming in, but Rio won out, I'm afraid. So oh, that is bloody good. And it is better than Lilt. That is better than Lilt. That is mint. It's not mint. It's orange, guava, apricot, mango, and passion fruit. That is bloody lovely. Big Mex is the same for me with the hairy teeth. Jig says, where's the root beer? Oh, I love root beer. Root beer isn't like really not a big thing in the UK, and most people in the UK have never even tasted root beer. And then when they do taste it, they go, "Ugh, it tastes like mouthwash." I fucking love root beer. I can get root beer here in the supermarket I go to. I do sometimes get some root beer. It doesn't taste the same. Doesn't taste the same. What I've been getting a lot lately, my local shop just over, there's a bridge that goes just over the railway and just through an alleyway, and there's a little shop down there, and it's an awesome little shop, and they've got a little section in the shop and they sell all imported American drinks. So you can get your root beer, you can get your special like Dr. Pepper with vanilla and stuff in it. They've got all the Fantas. So you got your grape Fanta, your mango Fanta, your pineapple, your strawberry, your berry, mixed berry one, and they all taste so much better. And someone was talking to me. I had the grape Fanta on a video. I think it was Waz actually. Waz Wyatt. He said, "Oh, I love it too, mate. I get it down my local Asda all the time." He says, "It's in the supermarkets. You can get it." I'm like, "Oh, sweet. It'll be a lot cheaper." And I went in the supermarket and it's diet. Like all the, we're just dumb over here in the UK, guys. We're dumb. And we have a lot more regulations and controls to sort of look after our health that you don't have in the States. And that, I guess it's a good thing overall, but it means for much shitter tasting food. And one thing we don't get in our drinks that you get in America is corn syrup. And I reckon that's the secret ingredient, because all of your drinks taste so much fucking better than ours. And I just go into like a normal British shop now and I look at our range of drinks and I'm like, boring, had it, boring, don't like it, boring. And I go into this shop with all the American ones. I'm like, oh, I really like that one. I haven't had that one since I've been to the States. So I'm getting some of them. And they cost a fortune. They're well over £1 a can, but worth it because they taste amazing. But this is one of the few British drinks that we get available here that I really like. And Marcus says, again, Mexican Coke is the best. Someone needs to send me, if someone can send me a Mexican Coca-Cola, because I'm just intrigued now. What do the Mexicans do to it? I have to try it. If someone sends me a Mexican Coca-Cola, I will send you a English Rio. How about that? There you go. British chocolate is better though. UK has up to 40. Oh yeah. Oh, we make the best chocolate in the world. I've heard a lot of talk of Belgian chocolates. They get a lot of, they're in the only, do you know what? A lot of the time, the only people that don't really appreciate how good British chocolate is British people. They go over like Belgian chocolates and that. And it's like, British chocolate is where it's at. We do make the best chocolate in the world. We really do. Rivets and Daka says Mexicans put Coke in it. I like the old days. The original, they're still going with the very original recipe with just shitloads of Coke. Oh, Essex Boys says Pepsi Max for me. Oh, my missus, no word of a lie. I don't know if she's watching this right now. She drinks on average easily 8 cans of Pepsi Max a day. And it's literally, she drinks it like it's water. I have to, when I go to the supermarkets, I have to buy like the big 24 packs and I buy like 2 of them. So I come out like 48 cans of Pepsi. Within a week, they're usually all gone. She canes the stuff and she loves it. And if I give her like a normal can, a proper can of Pepsi, she's like, ugh. I'm like, what is wrong with you? I don't get it. I don't get the fascination with Pepsi Max. People, it's Diet Pepsi. They just put Max on to make it sound cool, and it works, and everyone ran out and bought it. It's just an image thing. I know it is slightly different to Diet Pepsi, but it's basically Diet Pepsi with a cool tagline. It's Max Taste. It's not Max Taste. It's horrible taste. And every now and again, I go, oh, maybe I've been too harsh on it because I'm really thirsty and I want a cold drink. And there's literally nothing but Pepsi Max in our fridge. And it's either that or get something out the tap. And I'm like, oh, and I crack one open, have a little sip, and I'll go, oh, this is not as bad as that. And then I'm like, as soon as I've swallowed it, you get that diet drink taste, that sweetener chemical taste. And that, with any diet drink, it just kills it for me. absolutely kills it for me. XP says 48 cans of Pepsi. That it? Well, not really, because she also she likes the energy drinks as well. So she'll have a lot of cans of like Monster and Red Bull and stuff as well. It's so bad for her. I'm always telling her to stop. I know I'm drinking I don't often have like the fizzies. In hot weather like we've been having lately, I like them because they're like ice cold and they cool me down. I'm usually more about the coffee. But if I do drink at home, it's usually just like a glass of squash or something, or milkshake. I do like milkshake. Gina Hypersapien says, not sure now, but used to have aspartame in it. It still does. Still does. Pepsi Max has lots of aspartame in it. And it makes it taste hideous. Have you seen this video of the guy drinking the 30-year-old Pepsi Clear? No, but I do. I remember Pepsi Clear. And what was the one Coke had? Tab. Crystal Pepsi, what it called? Crystal Pepsi. And then Coke came out with Tab Clear. I watched a very interesting I've had this conversation with people before. Jay Crafton says, wait, squash, the vegetable? No. Again, squash, I have to remember, is a very British thing. Otherwise known as cordial in some places. Basically, it's I remember chatting to my buddy when I was over in the States, and I said about the squash, and he was like, his reaction was like, squash? I said, yeah, well, it's like juice, but you got to like dilute it. He's like, I said, you pour like a little bit in, then you water, and you make a drink. So you pour a bit in the glass and then fill up with water. And he was like, you dilute it with water? He was like, what? I'm like, well, yeah. And yes, Gina Hypersapiens is Australia cordial, yes. Because my missus, she used to live in Australia with her dad, and she said she was just driven mad because he always called it cordial as well. How did we get onto this? Just talking about various drinks. But no, the big one for me is coffee. Coffee. I love coffee. I would drink coffee all day, every day if I could. And I do pretty much, but I try to restrict it because I do sometimes have a bit of a coffee overload. Especially if I'm getting like the Costas in or the Starbucks and that, and then I'll have a couple of them, and I've got the old shakes from like caffeine overload. In America, it's Kool-Aid, but way more sugar. Yeah, well, that's the American way, innit? Everything's loaded with sugar. Things like a lot of the good things that I used to love, we used to have in this country, like Lucky Charms cereal, the greatest cereal known to man. It's just a bowl full of candy. It's fucking incredible. And now if you want it, you have to buy American import, and it costs like £5 a box. I still buy it because I fucking love it. But yeah, it's bloody expensive. And in America, it's just everywhere, and it's cheap. Like it used to be here. I remember like in the 80s, or probably the early 90s, I remember just having Lucky Charms, like Cocoa Pops and stuff. But like even our things like Cocoa Pops and that, everything's got less sugar and stuff in it now, and less things, but everything is becoming more and more sort of tasteless because of it. Gina Hype says Lucky Charms has drain cleaner in it. Yeah, I can believe it, but my God, it tastes amazing. I love Lucky Charms. One of my favorite bits is when you get the end of the box and you pour it in the bowl, and then all the dust comes out, and it's just like this dust of like purpley rainbow colors, and your milk goes this like gray, evil fucking sugar color. It's awesome. That's why you add sugar after the milk, someone says. Stick says it has bone marrow. Kurt Combs says Monster instead of coffee for me. Go easy on them Monsters, man. They're not good for you. They're not. I'm telling my missus all the time. I used to like the energy drinks when they first came out. When they first came out with like Red Bull, I used to this is going back to like late 90s, but I used to like a few cans of Red Bull and stuff. But then they come out with these like beer-sized cans of it, and it's too much. People drink it like it's so bad for you, so bad for you. Everything in moderation. Right, well that's dried now. Anyways, let's get some highlights on this base. I'm just doing my base, and I'll do my base is the same sort of desert color. So that's got. I do the base coat with oak brown, And then I go over it with a little sort of a fairly heavy dry brush of leather brown, and then finally use one of my favorite colors, skeleton bone, to do the final highlighting, which really makes it pop. Yeah, all my bases are done the same, as they should always be, within the same army anyway, because otherwise it's just going to look weird. But yeah, all my orcs are done on desert bases, and then the only other thing I do to them is add in a few tufts, a few stray tufts, and I add in the mountain tufts from Army Painter. And yeah, they just add a little bit of things to it. I do want to get some different color tufts though, because I got the mountain tufts because they look sort of like dry browny sort of tufts, and I like that. It made sense to me for the desert. I didn't want sort of bright green tufts. But it's just got some comments that need reviewing. There we go. Sometimes I put them on and I stand back and I'm like, I can't really notice the tufts and that until you get close. So I kind of, I don't know, I want to maybe mix up, add in a few different colours in there just to add a little bit more variety on some of the bases, but I'm not sure. Raxo Man says, you think Orc Boys, Knobs and other boys will get remodeled? Yes, eventually. But it scares me. It genuinely does terrify me, because when they redid the buggies and replaced them with all the new buggies variants that we've got now, I was very excited. And on the initial reveals, if we go back to my videos with the reveals of those, you could see I was like hype excitement, because they're great looking kits, and they really are. I've got the Death Killer War Trike in front of me right now. It's a lovely looking kit, but they're really restrictive in both their rules. They've got no options at all in their rules, and they've got no options at all in the kits. That's what really disappointed me, and I'd hate them to do that with orcs. And also, the best thing about orcs, one of the best things about them, is that the boys kit is interchangeable, and you can do so much with it because the parts all match, and the arms and the way they join. New kits don't tend to be made like that. So my big worry is that they would make them more dynamic but much less convertible, and like much harder to convert and kit bash. That would be my worry. And also, I don't want them to scale them up. I don't want the orcs to get the Primaries treatment, put it that way. Some people want that. I don't. And I still don't think they need updating. I know they're 20 years old, over 20 years old now. I still think they look great. I love them. I don't think they do to a degree look dated compared to some of the miniatures out there now, but not to the degree that they look crap. I know some people think they do. It's all down to personal opinion. But I really like them. We could do some more variations, like more variations of heads and bodies and arms and things, and that would always be welcome, always. But no, I wouldn't want them to drastically change the kit. Like I said earlier in this stream, saying about how they've just recently revamped the Necron Warriors. If they revamped them like that, I'd be chuffed, because those do look really cool, and they still look. You can still instantly tell what they are. And if you put them on the table with the old Necron Warriors, they would tie in together well. So I think people who've already got a load of Necron Warriors in the Necron army, they'll still be able to play them on the table without them looking shit. And I think that's a really good way to revamp something. I mean, sometimes some things need changing because the original is shit. I was talking about Dark Elder earlier, but I really like what they did with the Talos. Dark Elder Talos was a cool miniature for the time, but it became really dated later on. It's kind of like a scorpion-looking floating Death Dread thing, and I always thought it was cool at the time. But then when they did the new one, it was more like this hulking sort of half. It looked more biomechanical, like half sort of flesh and stuff, and I just thought it looked really cool. I mean, if I was to do a Dark Elder army, I would definitely have probably a few Taloses in the army because they're just so damn cool looking. And sometimes when they remodel things or revamp things, they don't just sort of add a bit more detail and enhance it. They like drastically change it. And that's something the orcs don't need. The orcs do not need a drastic change. The orcs just need a little bit of updating, subtle updating, and bring back some, or give us some new characters. New war boss would be cool. War boss with options. Ooh, there's a lot of comments needing approving. There we go. You're all swearing in the comments section, but you're all being positive. So, Build Grass says, my wife's playing Inquisitor now. LOL. Blimey. I haven't heard of anyone playing that for a while. Did like the look of Inquisitor back in the day when it first came around. It was interesting with the different sort of scale miniatures. I think it'd be quite cool to play. You could play like Kill Team with Inquisitor scale miniatures. That'd be quite cool. I remember my brother-in-law. He played Inquisitor, but they played Inquisitor with their 40k miniatures. They just used the rule set. So they said, well, it was too expensive, so we just played it with 40k scale miniatures rather than the big miniatures. You see how quiet I've gone now because I'm in concentration mode. That's the trouble with me. And I still haven't got my second camera yet because camera prices have gone through the roof during the lockdown. So I'm kind of waiting until lockdown's lifted and life returns back to normal and the prices of webcams return back to normal before I get a second one. And then, you'll be able to actually look. I'll have a second camera. You'll be able to actually see what I'm working on while I'm chatting to you. So you won't just be looking at usually the top of my bald head. At the moment, you look at the top of my hat. What we got here? Build Grass Hawking. They screwed up the NIDs. Did they? In terms of miniatures? I don't think they did. I don't like all the miniatures in the NID line. Jay Crawford says, lift a camera, it's easy. Nothing wrong with it because you're not lifting from a real person. Yeah. No, I'm not a deaf skull. I'm a bad moon. I'll just buy one with all my teeth. Yeah, no, I like the NID miniatures. You look back at some of them older second edition ones, they were again great for the time, but look pretty horrendous by today's standards. I think the Gene Stealer miniatures look really cool. Love them. I wasn't a fan of I was a fan of the miniatures, the Hormagaunts, but you sort of annoy the hell out of me in my Tyranid army when they always, because the way they're leaping, they just constantly fall forward on the bases. You've got to weigh them, buddy. Had to stick pennies under all the bases, and it still usually wasn't enough to stop them toppling over. So they used to annoy me, just from a practical standpoint. But yeah, no, I think the vast majority of Tyranid miniatures look really, really cool. I love the Carnifex, one of my favourite ones, and that's the old Screamer Killer Carnifex. I still love, one of my favourite old school miniatures. I loved that thing. I thought that was very, very cool. I'm getting there anyway. You can see it's looking a bit more detailed now coming up. Modelling for Advantage. Evening, Stevo. Evening, buddy. Build. I'm picky. They've made law use it. He's talking about them on the computer game. I see what you mean. Marco says, Gene Stealers out of the Space Holes box look cool. They do. Plastic Crack Games says Rexaman 7th edition was a reboxing of 6th edition box set, which was Marines versus Chaos. Yes, that's right. Yeah, the same. I think that's the only time they ever did that, isn't it? Where you got the same miniatures in the next edition, but I think 6th wasn't around for long, so I don't think originally they intended 7th to come out that soon. But I think they had an issue on their hands with 6th, and I think 7th was quite of a trying to address that quickly and fix it. Hence why they didn't have new starter set of miniatures ready. Is what 6th was only out for like 2 years or something. Raxo Man says, "What's your favourite orc model?" Good question. Well, one of my favourites, certainly my favourite big orc miniature is the Orc Battle Fortress from Forge World, which I've got up there waiting to be built. That is definitely one of my favourites in terms of like large scale ones, certainly. I don't know, I've got a few. There's lots of ones I really like. I love the Mega Knobs. I think the Mega Knobs are awesome. I love them. I've just been building the 3 out of the Prophecy of the Wolf to add to my unit. So they're now a full unit of 10. And each of them look different. They've got a lot of character to them. Each of them looks like a little character, well, a big character in themselves. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the Mega Knobs kit. Again, out of the big mechs in Mega Armor, I really like as well. I don't know really. My actual favorite one is. I like all the war boss miniatures we got. I like Gruck. I like the metal war bosses. I really like them. I like the Black Reach war boss. I like all the war bosses actually. I think they all look really good. I just like that they had a bit more posability and options of them. But as miniatures, I think they're very cool. And I got a lot of love for the boys, just the boys themselves, because again, there's just so much you can do with them. But Death Dreads and Cans. I love Death Dreads and Killer Cans. And Gorkanauts. I love my Gorkanaut. He's one of my favourites. I like most of them, to be fair. There's not much in the Orc range, miniature-wise, that I don't like. I'd probably say the ones that I'm not keen on is GW's Tank Busters. Although even them, I quite like the knob in the Tank Busters kit. But most of their miniatures I'm not a big fan of. The Commandos is another one that's a little bit weak. But again, the knob in the Commando set looks badass. Looters. I'm not actually a big fan of Looters. I don't know what it is, but they've never really... I don't know. They haven't really excited me, really. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about. I don't think they're crap or anything. They just don't... Visually, don't excite me, or they're very low down. They'll be very low down the list of if I put them all into an order of like best to worst. And that's not because they're crap. It's just because, I don't know, there's something about them that doesn't really do it for me. I think they're kind of cool, but they look like a pain in the arse to paint as well, as Plastic Crack Gaming will confirm. Sub-assemblies very much required. Well, let's get these... Someone says Snickrot is the fucking best. Yes, Snickrot is a really cool miniature, actually. I really like Snickrot. He is cool looking. A lot of the special characters I really like. I like Zagstruck as well. He's cool. But yeah, Snickrot, out of all the named characters we got, I would say he's probably my favourite miniature out of all the named characters, actually. Probably would have been Grug. But he's technically not a named character anymore, although he kind of is. Half is, sort of, kind of. Did like Grug. But yeah, Snickrot is a very cool miniature. I think he's badass looking. Got a lot of love for Snickrot, even though he's a filthy Blood Axe. And old Bad Ruck as well. Bad Ruck's cool, even though he's a filthy freebooter, but he is very, very cool. If we had a Nasdreg, it would probably I'd say him. You never know. I wonder if GW have opened them thousands of emails I've sent them telling them to get Nasdreg back. Do you know what though? I don't know if we'll ever get Nasdreg back. They just keep mentioning him in the lore and stuff. He's still there. He's still around. He still exists. I don't have a miniature for him, but I reckon they're probably more likely to like bring things like make a miniature for Tusker the Demon Killer or something before they do a Nasdreg, to be honest. I think at this point Nasdreg would be too similar to Gazgul, which is a real shame because I'd love to see the Bad Moons get a proper special named character. Oh, what we got here? What's going on here? Jay Crawford says, man, why has nobody decided to try a Blood Axe heavy army recently? We're well past the Codex coming out, and I haven't seen shit for experimentation for axes. Well, take a look at Plastic Cracks Gaming, man. His channel. He's all about the Blood Axes. He's always working on Blood Axe stuff. He's building a Blood Axe army as we speak, mate, getting them all painted up, ready for our battles. So if you like Blood Axes, mate, that's the place to go. He's all camouflage and everything going on there, mate. So there is some representation going on for them. I've seen a little bit of Blood Axe talk lately, and they're not one of the most popular clans to do, but they are they're not the least popular either. They do get a lot of. There's a few Blood Axe fanboys out there that like the old camo and stuff. I think Blood Axes are cool. So they're not one of my favourite clans. That'll always be Bad Moons, but followed by Snake Bites for me. But I like all the clans. All the clans are cool. There's not a clan I don't like. I just like orcs. I like all the orcs because they is the best. I really should have used a bigger brush to do this, shouldn't I? I've been sitting here for ages doing this one fucking base. It's looking good now, but I could have done that in like literally a tenth of the time if I'm just using like this tiny little one. Why didn't I use that one? Dumbass. Was Nasdreg the Nazi-ish looking one? No, I think you're thinking of Zagstruck there, who still exists, and he has got a bit of a Nazi uniform vibe going on. But no, he wasn't the Nazi looking one, buddy. Nasdreg hasn't had a miniature since Second Ed. Like a long time. He hasn't had a miniature for a long time. He was in power armor, huge claw / power fist. Yeah. And he had his special gun, didn't he? He had his Blaster X gun that he had. Marcus says you forgot to remove the sticker from your hat. I didn't forget. I left it on there because it looks cool. And it makes me look cool. Dred's already tried that one, buddy. Marcus says second. Plastic Crack Gaming. No idea who this Plastic Cracks chap is. Montaigne. Oh Christ, I forgot about Zad Stark the Ripper. Love that model. Yeah, that's great. That's the Forge World one, isn't it? Yeah, it is a very cool miniature. Very cool miniature. Pricey though, being a Forge World one. Yeah, he is a very, very cool miniature. He's from Forge World, so what do you expect? But you have to pay a premium to have him. But yeah, he's very, very cool. But to be honest, I mean, I'm talking about named characters. I'm talking about wanting Nasdreg back, and you know, I would be over the moon if Nasdreg came back. But I must admit, I wouldn't use him very often. because I've never been a big one for using named characters. Actually, I've always preferred building my own bosses, which is why I'm in no rush to build Gazgul. I'm really glad that I've got him, and I'm glad we as a community have got him because he looks really cool and he needed updating. But yeah, I've always preferred making my own, which is why I did that video recently about the old pick and mix, build a boss, wanting a lot of these third parties to kind of basically provide us with bits for war bosses, because no one's doing that at the moment. No one. Not in the way I was talking about. I had a lot of people trying to correct me, saying, oh, they're already available. This company already does it, and this company already does it. And a lot of the time there are companies I was knew of, and I was like, no, they don't. And then there are companies I didn't know about, and so I looked into it, and I'm like, once I looked into it, I was like, no, they don't. That wasn't what I wanted. Yeah, they do some cool war boss miniatures and kits and stuff, but no one was doing what I was asking for, is in war boss bits, like all the bits, so we can build our own war bosses. Because loads of companies, they're doing stuff in boys scale and knob scale, but it's strange to me that no one's done that. Not to the extent, at least to the extent that I want, because that's probably going to be the most converted miniature in most people's armies, isn't it? Loads of people for like the troops and stuff are happy just to have the stuff out of the box. Some of us go a bit further and will convert almost like Dread. He converts every miniature in his army. I don't think there's one miniature in his army that is standard. I mean, I don't go that far. I've got a lot of stuff that's built just as it is out of the kit. I've got a lot of stuff that's got minor little modifications or kit bashes, and then I've got stuff that's like straight up converted and kit bashed. But I think one thing that nearly all players want personal to them is their own custom war boss. Their or leader. It doesn't necessarily be a war boss, could be a big mech or a weird boy or whatever. But that's what people want, their own character. And it's really surprising that is so underserved by third parties, especially when GW are only offering Gruck or the old Metal War Boss, which have no options and stuff, and sort of much in the way of posability and things. So there's a huge gap there that needs filling, and I'm amazed that more third parties haven't seen that and jumped on it, because we get loads of conversion parts for knobs, but they've already got, you get the knobs kit. It's not really a kit that requires that, because they've got a lot of variety in them. They've got loads of head options in there. It also, you can mix and match it with the Mega Knobs kit to get even more conversion. So it's cool that third party provide, different knob heads and arms and torsos and stuff. That's really cool. But we didn't desperately need that. Like, we desperately need more war boss scale bits. That's what we really want. Because I'm kind of wanting to convert up my own war boss and try to do something a bit different. I got some bits the other day that I'd ordered online, and I'm looking at them going, I'm still undecided whether these are the bits that's going to work. So a company out there offering like more heads and arms and options would be very, very cool. I'd be all over that. I'd spend a fortune with them. I'd build a few of them. If Gazgul is the mightiest Goth, while Nazdreg is the mightiest Bad Moon, I think, is Zadsnark the Ripper the mightiest Evil Sons then? Oh, I don't know, because you've got old brain's gone. Who's the famous Evil Son, the who rides the bike of the apocalypse, who rammed his bike through a bloody Titan and took it out? What's he called? Come on, someone in the Wazdaka Gutsmech. There you go. Thank you, Montaigne. Wazdaka Gutsmech. How could I forget? Yeah, I'd say he's probably the certainly the most well-known Evil Son, isn't he? Or did he become a freebooter in the end? I think he was still an Evil Son, as far as I'm aware. I'm not sure. There's a lot of characters like that you think of, like old Zogwart. I was always thought of as a snakebite, and he was originally, but he is actually a freebooter. That's a character they could. That was a character I was kind of hoping they'd bring back through the Psychic Awakening, being called the Psychic Awakening, to bring back a named Psyker for the Orcs. That would have been very cool to have old Zogwart back and just to have a chance to turn some of the other factions characters into a squig. I'm sure there's no Orc player that wouldn't have enjoyed the chance of doing that. Right, well, I think this space is done. All done. All lovely, ready to go. Just need to neaten up the rim now. Got that done, ready for the thing to go on there. But I think, how long have we been on for now? 2 hours. I think I'm calling it there. I'll hold on for a couple of minutes, but we'll call it a night for that. The Pale Orcs, 90% of the characters were freebooters. The Bike of the Apocalypse and his galaxy-spanning Speed War. They made the stratagem for Warp Eds. The Pale Orc, I was working on a custom sheet for Zogwart. We'll have it done pretty soon. Cool. Make sure you share it on the community page, buddy. I'm sure you will, but that's cool. Yes, Gaz is teleporting around the galaxy, meeting them. Yeah. Either getting them to join or just beating the crap out of them and taking all their boys. Marcus says, thanks for chatting. You are welcome, Marcus, anytime. G the Hypersapien, I eventually want to make a modern version of all the great characters. Cool. And it says Tusker first. Yeah, Tusker's a popular one, man. Nivek says, peace, Stevo. Have a great one. Thank you, mate. Rex, I'm going to paint Evil Sons knobs. Cool. And G the Hypersapien, have second Gaz for Nazdreg I'll work on. Cool. Yeah. Like I say, I don't know if Bad Moon Bill ever replied in the comments, but I've seen. Have any of you seen that one? It's doing the rounds at the moment. A picture someone put up of the thanks Essex boys, thank you. If you look for the picture of the new Gazgol one that's been converted into a Nazdreg, it looks really good. I'm like, oh. It looks just done such a good job on it. It looks very, very cool. But now I will be building my Gazgol up just as he is. Marcus says, Artie Freeman, are you streaming tomorrow? Do you remember a few weeks back when you lot were expecting us all to be streaming, like one of us at least to be streaming every night over the entire lockdown? I don't think at that point we expected the lockdown to literally last for like as long as it has. We'd be dead by now. Jigswell says, we love you, Stevo, even though you're a bad moon. That's only because you want my teeth. And Dread says, I am, mate. Yes, there you go, guys. You heard it here. Dread War is live tomorrow night. That's cool. That means what else going on here? Plastic Crack Games says some of us still have to work. Yeah. Yeah, you poor fucker. Feel bad for you. Well, I'm at home with the kids, man. It feels like work most of the time. In fact, it's more tiring than going to work. Big Mac Dan Skull, cracking stream, mate. Perfect time to finish. Got to get up early to premiere video on my channel. Good. I shall look forward to it, buddy. Montaigne, you ever thought of a community Discord? Me and my mates stream painting sessions together. Well, I'm sure Mr. Scarno will post a link up right now because we do have a community Discord, the 40k Orc community Discord. So he is pretty on the ball usually with throwing these links in the chat. Let's see if he does it. But yes, we do have a Discord. I don't really get involved with it myself yet. I will. I need to get on there. There you go. The link's in there. Disco's there. And he said that they're in there now chatting, guys. So if you want to go and join in, go and join in. Marcus said he's started work again. So yeah, everyone's kind of saying goodbye now and everything. So I am going to do the same. I've got a little bit of hobby done. So I never get much done on my own live streams. I'll get more done tomorrow when I'm watching other people do their live streams. So that'll be cool. But guys, thank you all, one and all. And I shall see you on the next video, whenever that may be. Take it easy, guys. 6 Stevo signing out.